Gojoseon. Founding myths. Main article: Korean mythology founding myth. There are three different main founding myths concerning Gojoseon, which revolve around Dangan, Gija, or Weeman. Dangan myth. Heaven Lake of Baekdu Mountain, where Dangun's father is said to have descended from heaven. The myths revolving around Dangan were recorded in the later Korean work Samgayusa of the 13th century. This work states that Dangan, the offspring of a heavenly prince and a bear woman, founded Gojoseon in 2333 BC, and was succeeded by Gija Chizi after King Wu of Zhou had placed him onto the throne in 1122 BC. A similar account is found in Jawang Ungi. According to the legend, the Lord of Heaven, Wanan, had a son, Waning, who descended to Baekdu Mountain and founded the city of Shinsi. Then a bear and a tiger came to Waning and said that they wanted to become people. Waning said to them that if they went in a cave and lived there for 100 days, while only eating mugwort and garlic, he would change them into human beings. However, about halfway through the 100 days, the tiger gave up and ran out of the cave. The bear, in contrast, successfully restrained herself and became a beautiful woman named Ungnyo Shang Nu. Waning later married Ungnyo, and she gave birth to Dangan. While the Dangan story is considered to be a myth, it is believed it is a mythical synthesis of a series of historical events relating to the founding of Gojoseon. There are various theories on the origin of this myth. Seo and Kong 2002 believe the Dangan myth is based on integration of two different tribes: an invasive sky-worshipping Bronze Age tribe and a native, bear-worshipping Neolithic tribe, that led to the foundation of Gojoseon. 1984 believes Dangan Wangjeom was a title borne by successive leaders of Gojoseon. Dangan is said to have founded Gojoseon around 2333 BC. Based on the descriptions of the Samgayusa, Jawang Ungi, Dongguk, Tongam, and the annals of the Joseon dynasty, the date differs among historical sources, although all of them put it during the mythical emperor Yao's reign. Traditional dates 2357 BC, 2256 BC. Samgayusa says Dangan ascended to the throne in the 50th year of the legendary Yao's reign, Annals of the King. Sejong says the first year, and Dongguk Tongam says the 25th year. In the 7th century BCE, the Yan pioneered the northeast regions. According to the growth of Yan and the context of Guanzi, it can be presumed that Gojoseon grew through trade in this era. It is estimated that Gojoseon developed so far as to be able to war against the Yan in the 4th century BCE. Gija myth. Main article: Gija Joseon. Gija, a man from the period of the Shang dynasty, allegedly fled to the Korean Peninsula in 1122 BC during the fall of the Shang to the Zhou dynasty and founded Gija Joseon. Gija Joseon is recognized and mentioned in the earliest surviving Chinese records of the Three Kingdoms. Gija's story was further developed in later Korean texts such as Samgayusa and Jawang Ungi. By the middle of Goryeo dynasty, a state cult had developed around Gija. The Dongsa Gangmuk of 1778 described Gija's activities and contributions in Gojoseon. The records of Gija refer to 8 prohibitions, Korean Bomgumpoljo Hanja Fan Jin Batiao, that are recorded by the Book of Han and Evidence. A hierarchical society with legal protections of private property. In pre-modern Korea, Gija represented the authenticating presence of Chinese civilization. Until the 12th century CE, Koreans commonly believed that Dangan bestowed upon Korea its people and basic culture, while Gija gave Korea its high culture and presumably standing as a legitimate civilization. Many modern experts have denied Gojoseon's existence for various reasons, mainly due to contradicting archaeological evidence and anachronistic historical evidence. They point to the Bamboo Annals and the Analects of Confucius, which were among the first works to mention Gojo, but do not mention his migration to Gojoseon. Gojoseon might have just existed as a symbol of the pre-Qin dynasty migrants who escaped the chaos of the Warring States period. Wei Man was a military officer of the Yan of northeastern China, who fled to the northern Korean Peninsula in 195 BCE from the encroaching Han dynasty. He founded a principality with Wangjiam Seong as its capital, which is thought to be in the region of present-day Pyongyang. The 3rd century Chinese text Viawei of the Sanghuazi recorded that Wei Man usurped King Jun and thus took over the kingship of Gojoseon. Gojoseon mythology and history can be divided into 3 phases: Dangan, Gojoseon, and Wei Man Joseon. 1987 viewed the Dangan myth as a native product of Proto-Koreans, although it is not always associated with Gojoseon. 1987 rejected the Dangan myth's association with Gojoseon, and pushes it further back to the Neolithic period. Son et al. 1970 suggested that the Dangan myth is associated with the Dongyi, whom they viewed as the ancestors of Koreans. 1948 suggested the Dangan myth had a Chinese origin, tracing it to a Han dynasty tomb in the Shandong Peninsula. Gardiner 1969, Henderson 1959, McCune 1962. Considered the Gojo myth to be a later conflation. Son et al. 1970 dismissed the Gojo story as a Chinese fabrication. On the other hand, Hakata 1969 gave Gojoseon a Chinese identity, exclusively ascribed it to the Gojo myth, and moved it to the 3rd century BCE. Shim Jae-hoon 2002 accepted the eastward migration of Gojo, but denied the relationship between Gojo and Joseon, suggesting that the existence of Gojoseon could not be extended to the 2nd millennium BCE. 1984 accepted Wei Man as a historical figure. Gardiner 1969 questioned authenticity of the Wei Man myth, although he mentioned there were interactions between Gojoseon and the Han dynasty and social unrest in the area during that time period. Controversies around the mid-Joseon dynasty. The established view among historians traced Korean origins to Chinese refugees, considering Korean history that of a long series of kingdoms connected with China. As such, the Gojoseon and Silla states were valorized, while the Gojoseon and Goguryeo states were not considered as important. According to this view, the first state in Korea, Gojoseon, was founded by Jizi in 1122 BCE, who was a disgruntled Chinese advisor to the Shang dynasty. The story of how he brought poetry, music, medicine, trade, and a political system to the Korean Peninsula was conceived similarly to the proposed founding of Rome by the Trojan refugee Aeneas. But by the 1930s, under the influence of Shin Chaeyo's histories, the Jizi Korean founding story became less popular than that of Dangan, the son of a tiger and a bear, the latter being common in Japanese folklore, who brought civilization to the Korean Peninsula. Shin and the other historians who promulgated this myth had been influenced by Daejeonyo, a new religious movement which worshipped Dangan, but attacked pre-annexation textbook narratives of Dangan, which portrayed him as the brother of the Japanese god Susanoo. To Shin, Dangan was both the founder of the Korean Minjok and the first Korean state Kook, and thus the necessary starting point for Korean history. In response to a challenge by the Japanese scholars Shiratori Karakichi and Imanishi Ryu of Dangan as a fabrication by the author of the Samguk Yusa, nationalist historian Cho Namseon attacked Japanese mythology as being built upon fabrications.